Welcome back, everyone. Today we're talking about fire. I think sometimes fire is some notion in our mind, but there's nothing tangible. There's no real life examples of it. Today I'm going to share a real life example to try and make it more tangible in your mind. You can do this. And then what's life like after you've done it? What does the world look like after you fired? So 2-year update, 38, male, single, $2.3 million. So this guy saved $2.3 million in his 30s. So it's possible. Submitted my resignation letter today. Thank you guys for the encouragement all these years. So he submitted his retirement when he was 38. This is 2 years later, and he's going to give us an update. So I'm the guy who quit his job in the US in June of 2018 with naive dreams of frugally solo traveling the world by air, frugally solo traveling North America via van camper, and spending more time with my friends and family in between. Background, I'm 40 now, ethnically Chinese guy in Texas. I started working in my early 20s after getting out of grad school. Salary varied anywhere from $70,000 to $130,000. If you can get to over $2 million on $70,000 to $130,000, I mean, that's awesome. I think that's not a crazy big salary. That's attainable for a lot of you out there. I think that's not a crazy salary. You can do this. During those 14 or so years, I live in a state with a low cost of living and no state income tax, so I knew when I started I could save a majority of my income if I stayed frugal and resisted lifestyle inflation. So don't let lifestyle creep get you. I live in the same starter home I bought around 2010 and drive an old Toyota Camry. I did a bunch of set it and forget it buying of large cap US index funds and Berkshire Hathaway, and I did some individual buying of large cap bank and tech names before and after the Great Recession 10 years ago. I think if you bought bank or tech after the Great Recession, or if you just bought VTI and index fund, you'd have made lots and lots of money after that. I spent my first year in Thailand, so after he fired, he spent his first year in Thailand. I accepted a non-paid volunteer teaching position with a Ministry of Justice program that teaches English and job skills to low-level convicts and former prostitutes. Click my previous thread below to get a breakdown of my expenses and experiences living in Bangkok, traveling weekends through Southeast Asia on dirt cheap airfare costing as little as $20 a flight sometimes, the cheap street food, and so forth. My monthly expenses came out to $850 with free housing, which would have been up to $1,350 a month if I got a fancy flat and paid my own utilities, which is still crazy cheap by Western standards. That's for sure. Living on $1,000 a month is hard to do in US, maybe impossible to do in US. That includes health insurance, eating out every meal, mass transit, taxi fare, spending money for shows, and knickknacks. My net worth increased from $2.3 million when I quit to $2.6 million when I came home from Thailand 1 year later, entirely from stock gains. So stock market was up in 2019. He made about 10%. He went from 2.3 to 2.6. Year one went almost 100% according to plan. The first 6 months of year two did too. I took separate trips from the US to the UK, Spain, Mexico, Florida, New York, and Minnesota, all on heavily discounted fares, because when you're retired, you can take all the odd hour fares discounted at over 60 to 70% off, right? Yeah, so you can fly when you want. If you don't have a schedule, you can fly whatever you want. I stayed with friends, got cheap Airbnbs, or used my hotel points to cut costs. It was great. 2020 comes and COVID-19 hits. My trip to Taiwan and Hong Kong was canceled. A trip to Italy soon after. A trip to Italy soon after too. So all of his trips got canceled. Then separate trips to Nevada and Boston got canceled. My net worth skyrocketed to over $3 million thanks to the post-China trade deal rally and the market assuming COVID-19 is contained. So he made even more money. He went from 2.3 to 3 million between 2018 and 2020. The abrupt panic sell-off as the world went into lockdown knocked me back to 2.1. So he went from 2.3 to 2.6 to 3 down to 2.1 whenever COVID hit in March of 2020 and the markets crashed. Painful, but I rode the Great Recession all the way down and back 10 years ago, so I had that experience to rely on to resist panic selling. I've since rode the April-May rally back up to 2.6 million. So he's 10% ahead of where he started. The COVID recession was one of the shortest ones in history. I think like 40, 50, 60 days, the market was back. My current expenses, I own the house outright, so no rent is great. Health insurance is covered by my old employer. While still in Southeast Asia, I was offered a remote work job by my old boss, like set aside 60 to 90 minutes a day to answer email and have him bounce ideas off me. I originally said no, but was swayed when told I could get health insurance covered and my 401k matching when I moved back to the States. Have done it since. A nice side hustle for a fraction of my old salary. So here are the expenses. $480 a month for property taxes and home insurance. That's right, per month. Property taxes are high here, the joys of home ownership. Since there are no income taxes in Texas, I think they make up for that in property taxes. $70 a month for auto insurance, 2 cars and 2 drivers, $130 gasoline and auto maintenance. They're Toyotas, maintenance is really easy, and the engines run forever. $220 for water and internet and power. $120 months for 4 smartphones on a Sprint family plan. Yes, Sprint sucks, but it's a great price, and I've been grandfathered in for several years. I get a free Hulu sub and free AAA sub with it too. $140 for groceries. I shop mostly at Aldi and grow several greens and fruits in my backyard. $60 for random upkeep around the house, replacing broken sprinkler head, buying wood chips, replacing weed eater, batteries, light bulbs, potting soil, stuff like that. That comes out to $1,220 a month. I'm not including eating out or going to shows or movies because I'm inside the house all day, every day. My $20 gym membership is suspended. I don't want to work out in an enclosed space until there's a vaccine or proven treatment. So he's writing this during COVID, so this is a couple years old. $1,220 a month is really lean. That's hard to do. He's lucky that he has his house paid off, but that's not random. He worked hard to do that. Plans for year 3 are wait out the pandemic for a vaccine or treatment. Stay home in the meantime. I miss flying. I fully expect flying to be a more miserable experience with less competition and higher prices when it does bounce back. It's unavoidable. I get it. I'm still looking at a van to custom build a camper for one to travel to state and national parks in. I've ridden in my friend's Sprinter a few times, and I'm now convinced it's too much room for one person. I've also decided that a camper van with onboard water, shower, and toilet is unnecessary for me. I can just use a Planet Fitness membership or pay for showers at truck stops or campsites. The custom builds being offered for Nissan NV200 cargo vans with pop-top roofs are intriguing. Would cost about 23 grand for a new NV200 and then another 20 or 30 grand for the camper build. So there are lots of people on YouTube who travel around and live in campers and document their life in their YouTube videos. He's saying it costs about 50K for one of those camper vans. And they're small. They're not much bigger than what you think of as a regular van, but they have bed, water, toilet, TV, shower, all that stuff. Solar panels on top, some generator somewhere in case you want to run the AC while you're sleeping. Pretty cool. So I think it's pretty awesome. This guy retired with over $2 million at the age of 38, and now he's doing what he wants. If you like a life like this, if you like freedom, it's possible to achieve in your 30s. That's pretty amazing. And he didn't have like $400,000, $500,000 a year jobs working at Facebook or Apple or Google. He just made between $70,000 and $130,000 at a regular company in Texas. He didn't say what company, but that's awesome. And I think most of us, if we work hard, we can make $100,000 a year. And if you do that and you save a good amount, he lived cheaply, you can grow your wealth to over $2 million. We probably need some decent stock returns, but it seems anything is possible. You don't need a crazy high salary to be financially independent. You need to spend less than you earn. You need to be patient. You need to buy index funds, and you're going to get there. So this is some real account of someone who's fired and done it very young. He's in his 30s. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.